So good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Talent Finders would like to welcome entrepreneur and founder of Schmooz. So welcome all the way out of Toronto, Canada, Zoe Share. So welcome, Zoe.
Hi, Karen. Thanks for having me.
So Zoe, firstly, congratulations on all your achievements. Can you please share with our audience about how your entrepreneurial journey started?
Sure. If you all are willing to listen for that long, it's a bit of a long story. Sorry about that. That's my computer pinging. So I started my journey back in 2014. I had started my career as a kindergarten teacher, and I have an English degree and a teaching degree. And after I discovered that teaching was not for me, I went back and got my master's in business, entrepreneurship, and technology at the University of Waterloo, which is in Canada sort of known. Waterloo is known as the Silicon Valley of the North, so it's where a lot of tech startups are.
Okay.
And I went to that program, with this fine arts background, this teaching background, and everyone was an engineer and a business student, and they were like, "What are you doing here, Zoe?" And I really didn't have a very good answer. I thought to myself, maybe I'll start a tutoring company because teaching wasn't for me, but I still want to be involved in education. Basically, what ended up happening was that as part of the course, part of the master's program, we had to work on a business. And I thought that was stupid. I was like, I don't want to start a business. Like, entrepreneurship, that is very risky.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'll just help everybody else with their business. And little did I know that was how my own entrepreneurial journey started. I had my hands in 7 different startups out in Kitchener-Waterloo, here in Ontario. And at the end of the school year, I said, anyone want to pay me to keep helping you? And I put together 30 hours a week, and that was the beginning of Schmooz.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Thanks. And that was 5.5 years ago.
Amazing. So just, obviously you touched on the teaching and everything, but as you were a teacher before, and then you started your own agency, which is such a contrast. So how was that transition for you? Did you feel it was like organic, or it just happened naturally, or you kind of took a lot of detours?
I mean, it happened organically. I think what I've learned is that teaching, and as are so many things, but teaching is a very transitional skill. You learn about structuring a lesson plan. You learn, so how to allocate time to certain tasks and certain outcomes. You learn about classroom management, so making sure that the people in the room who are trying to learn something have the tools that they need to be successful in learning. And you learn about negotiation when you are trying to get children to do what you want them to do. And
Yes.
I learned through my master's that I was really well equipped to help businesses translate their idea to something more people could understand.
Yes.
And I realized, as I went through the program and when I started Schmooz, this is not that different. I'm still doing the same thing. I'm helping a company take their idea, their big idea, and embody that in the content we're creating in a way that more people can understand than are currently understanding. And that's what marketing is. So I truly believe that marketing is like the nexus between business and education, and that's why I love it so much.
Awesome. So I love the name of your company. So can you share with the audience how the name of your company came about?
Absolutely. Thank you. I love the name of my company too. So the name of my company, the naming of it happened around the family dinner table. My grandparents and my parents and my sister and my husband all sitting around the table. I'm Jewish, so it was a Friday night dinner. And I was like, I'm going to start this social marketing thing, and what should I call it? And we all just talked about it. And since I'm Jewish, schmooze is a Yiddish word, so that's the dialect. Yeah, a dialect of the old country and of the marketplace, where people go and they gossip, they make small talk. You know, it's a little bit of an idle conversation. And what I loved about that was that, first of all, I think schmooze is such a great word. It's evocative of people coming together. And schmooze has like a little bit of a negative connotation that it's gossip, but I really think that any relationship starts with a conversation, and that sometimes means starting with small talk. So I think the name is interesting for so many reasons. From like a linguistic point of view, it's a great word. Like Google is a good word. I think schmooze is a good word. And
it's memorable too.
Thank you. Yeah, and breaking down the meaning of the word, the construct of the word schmooze and what it means within a religion, within a pop, like, you know, people say schmooze and booze. They say it now. They've adopted it as an English word. I think it's a really interesting word, and I love that it's the name of my company.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. So focusing more on the business, so your focus and what you offer within your service or services for your clients is diverse, from brand ambassadors, referrals, and creating testimonial programs, to name a few. What would you say makes your agency unique and different to your competitors?
I mean, I think the first note is that I don't spend a lot of time worrying about my competitors. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, what makes us different, and I just want to note that because I think entrepreneurs get...
Yeah, they spend too much time dwelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, just do your thing. It's going to be okay. So my thing is starting every social marketing engagement with core values work.
Yes.
So at Schmooz, we believe that purpose and profit go hand in hand, and trying to have a quick win with lead generation and acquisition, important strategy, especially depending on what your business is and what the cost is.
Yes.
But we're more interested in creating relationships that stand the test of time. So how can your existing customers, your inactive customers, and your prospects get more value from you so that they're going to spread the word? For me, it's more about online word of mouth and revenue, maintaining revenue, than it is just about revenue acquisition.
Yes, of course. So social.
I think a lot of agencies. I think a lot of agencies. You know, people are like, I just want acquisition, but there's a lot more to a business than lead generation and acquisition that makes it last. And a lot of those things have to do with retention and brand ambassadors and testimonial programs.
And also it's for the long game. You have to be in it for the long game. So for sure. So social media has changed the way we do business and has impacted us in so many ways, both on a positive and a negative level. What would you say we as both personal and business brands need to change and improve the narrative, especially as consumers have become more consumer conscious? And do you as an agency believe that you help brands or individual brands or brands translate their message in a responsible way?
This is such an important question, and I'm really glad that you asked it. I think it's like a very complex question because in this landscape of big data and data mining, we as marketers have a responsibility to be honest about where we're getting that information from. And I think the consumer, like consumers are, as you said, becoming more conscious, and they're also becoming more discerning about who they want to have relationships with, whether that's a personal brand or a large brand. And that's why doing the core values work has been so imperative for Schmooz. Essentially, I no longer want to work with brands who are, if they like don't really buy into the core values workshops that we do at the beginning of our engagement, they're not the right fit for us, because to me, the future of social media is that a consumer is going to say, I only want to see content from the companies that are in line with my values. Yeah. And so if a brand is not clear on their values and are not creating true value, all they're doing is trying to get profit. I think consumers are going to push those people away. That's truly what I believe, and therefore I think we are trying to help people be more responsible about what they put out there into the world and how they plan. It's marketing and core values, that goes back to every single decision you make as a company. Yeah. So it's got to match from the core all the way to the product offering and to the shopping cart or whatever it may be. It's got to, every decision has to check off that it's truthful to those core values. That's the future, and I truly believe in it.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing, is because, part of what I want to elaborate on is, especially on the social media side, is, bullying, sexual harassment. And one of the things, and this is what I want to ask you, because obviously you're an agency and you deal with a lot of the social media platforms. Yeah. Is, do you believe that people like, the creators of these platforms, like the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Snapchats, the TikToks, all of these platforms, I know people say, oh, but why are you blaming social media? And I feel, and this is just my opinion, but, you can possibly elaborate, is that I feel like a lot of these creators of these platforms need to also be held accountable for the content that is produced and published on their platforms. Because otherwise, they can say, well, it's a free platform and, you can put out whatever content. But, we've seen it where, people like the likes of Mark Zuckerberg have been, sat in front of, Congress or whatever, and being questioned about, political social agendas and all of these things using their platform. And, the question is, who becomes responsible? And I still feel in some respects, and maybe, you can elaborate again on that point, is that there has to be some accountability to the creators of these platforms.
I agree that there needs to be accountability on, I think, everyone's side, and it's hard to know how. I think people create technology and they try and think about all the different things that could go wrong or all the different things that could happen as a result of the thing that they created. And I think it's next to impossible. Like, I know as a business owner, it's next to impossible to know exactly what's going to go down.
Yeah, for sure.
So I it's hard for me to comment because I'm not an expert on this in particular, but my opinion is that it's not going to be free for much longer, because it's going to be too impossible to curate responsible, ethical advertising without there being either people, like consumers, getting paid for their data, so that it's clear that, like, I am a 30-year-old woman with a 2-year-old child, I run an agency, I live in Toronto, I am okay with these companies having that data and marketing to me. But if they're going to market to me, I want a piece of the pie too, not just all the money going to Facebook or all the money going to Twitter. So I think it's coming. I think change is coming. I don't, it's so interesting. I had somebody say to me, Karen, I think you'll appreciate this. They said, so you run a social media marketing agency. I guess that means you support Facebook. And I was like, wow, oh, man, that is a hard thing. I believe in bringing people together, and I believe that I call it social marketing as opposed to social media marketing. The media is the tool, right? Like, Facebook is a tool, Twitter is a tool, and then the social relationships you can build as a result of using that technology, that is also a personal responsibility to use these tools in an ethical way. So I think there's a lot of things out there that people can mistreat, whether that's Facebook or Twitter or guns or You know,
political agendas.
yeah, I mean, so I'll talk about something that's, you know, a little bit personal to me and something that matters to me. A friend of mine has gone through, you know, a very aggressive cancer, and she had a full hysterectomy, and she started a business where she's marketing to women who want to try and have sex again in a comfortable and pleasurable way after going through menopause or you know, having to have an operation in your nether regions. And Facebook doesn't want to advertise things that are talk about sex.
Okay.
And like sexuality, women's sexual health, like there's a lot of positive conversations and important conversations going on, but yet Facebook has guidelines about talking about, you know, sex, religion, disability. And so they're trying to protect groups and protect people, and yet a very important product and service is not able to reach women because it talks about sex. So it's so fuzzy. It's so fuzzy. What's good? What's bad? How do we qualify that? So I don't think there's an easy answer, but no. I think it's worth saying we're going to try and use these tools in the best way possible, in the most ethical way possible. Facebook has a responsibility, but each brand and consumer also has a responsibility to say, I'm not just going to let this slide. I'm going to go out there and look for the companies that have good values and are being responsible. And I think it's our job as consumers and our job as business owners to explain how we are responsible.
Yes, of course.
Did I answer your question? I don't know.
Yes, you did.
It's complicated, right?
It is complicated, very complicated. So how, in using all the platforms according to the relevance of your clients, do you help to get the message out in a very oversaturated market? And do you have any examples of this that have worked for your clients, for you and your clients?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to talk about me because I want to protect my clients.
Sure.
But it has worked for our clients too. But I think, so for me, I started Schmooz. I was 25. I wanted to, you know, who's going to hire me? There's a million marketing agencies. I was a teacher. I'm a nobody. Why would they hire me? And, you know, all that self-doubt aside, looking back, I don't think I was wrong. And what you need to start to recognize, and the reason why core values are so important to Schmooz's methodology, is because it's not about attracting everybody.
Yes.
It's about attracting the people who get it.
Yes.
So figuring out who you are and what your business is at its core, that's not just coming from me. That's coming from my whole team. That's coming from the whole company culture. So, you know, I gave a workshop yesterday where it was like, yeah, we've had core values, but the founder came up with them 10 years ago, and I don't really know if they're still true. And we worked through that together, and then it was like, wow, we went through this process to find these core values, and some of them are the same as they were 10 years ago, but some of them have grown and changed and evolved. And putting those first, embodying that in your content, that is what allows people to see you and your business for what you are. Yes. So the more I've done that, the more I've done that for my clients and for myself, the more I'm willing to put a stake in the ground about my belief system,
yes,
the better my business has gotten. So it's worked for me, and I've applied what's worked for me to my clients. I'm constantly learning, but this has been one of the biggest learnings, is to not be ashamed of who you are, what your business stands for. Own it, rock it, and embody it in every decision you make and every piece of content you share.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. So your company runs, and you obviously touched on it briefly in the previous question,
yeah.
But your company runs on core values. So can you share with us more about this, and do you believe that this has separated you from your competitors or other people within the industry?
I 100% think it separates us. I'm not fooling myself. I know that other people might start doing what I'm doing, but I think I'm a little ahead of the curve. And essentially what we do, and I'm very happy to share it. I'm not trying to, we still have secret sauce. Essentially what we do is in every piece of content, so once we do the core values workshop, we know what the company's core values are. We've worked on that, worked through it. We're saying, how does every piece of content created work towards a very specific goal? So we're not just saying, okay, overall this month you reached 10,000 people, like big whatever. We're saying this one post, who are we trying to reach with this one post? And it could be 10,000 people or it could be 3 people. Like it can be that targeted. And what core value are we trying to embody in this post? What value will they get out of this post? And what action will they take as a result of this post? So we design posts thinking about a like. We design posts thinking about getting someone to try and tag a friend. We design a post trying to get a click. But it's the success of each post and sort of recognizing, wow, when we talk about learning and, you know, advertise it to this audience and ask them to do this, this is the most successful for us. How does that change the trajectory of this business and the offering? How does this affect our retention rates? How does this affect referrals? One post could be the thing that changes everything. And so it's not just about set it and forget it, create content, just like I need a content post going out every day. It's thinking that critically about each post. And that's what I think we do very differently.
So so that leads me to the next question. So one of your focuses is creating long-term retention rates with clients and employees. So what are some of the lessons you could share with us that can help others, and do you have any examples?
Yeah, I have a really important example that it gets me all worked up. So I think it's a good one. We had a prospective client come to us and they said, you know, I have 1,000 people on my newsletter list and I want that newsletter list to become 2,000 people. That's my goal. That's the KPI that I want to measure everything on.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, well, let me just get some more information from you. How many people of that 1,000 people are actively paying you?
Yeah.
And she had the answer. It was great. She said 6% are active paying customers.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, this is your budget, and I hear that you want to put all that budget to making the list bigger so that you're going to have 6% of 2,000 people. But what about thinking about it a little bit differently, that you've already captured 1,000 people and only 6% of them are paying you? And let's also explore how much that 6% is paying you.
Yeah.
And this person didn't like that. They wanted what they wanted, which was 2,000 people on the list. But they didn't become a client. But they didn't see my point, which was if you can take that list from 6% active and paying to 8% active and paying, or that 6% is responsible for 50% of your revenue, which is $500,000, well, can that 6% give you another $10,000 if you serve them with even more value? You know, it sounds overly simplified, but you know, my proposal back to her was, let's get the list to 1,250. Let's get it from 6% to 8%, and let's take 20 inactive customers who are frequent readers of your newsletter and get them to become paying customers. And she wasn't interested. She wanted to get the list to 2,000 people. That metric meant something to her. And I didn't want to move forward with that client because to me, it's not just about acquisition. It's about saying there's already a following of 1,000 people here. When I showed her 20 people who read her last newsletter and she didn't recognize any of the names on the list and she didn't really care, I was like, if you don't see value in the people who are already signing up for you, then we can't work together.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like it's such a missed opportunity. It's like don't only chase new people. Value who you have, retain them, get referrals from them, and do the same with your employees. Because turnover in employees, that is expensive. Training is expensive. So I'm really, really interested in retention, even though it's a very unsexy metric.
Yeah, but that's what's important, because that's what's going to maintain you and sustain you long term.
Yeah. And also, like, know what your ideal retention rate is. Like, if you know that you're only going to retain a client for 3 months, then you can know that, understand it, and say, I know now that my audience is someone who's going to stay engaged with me for 3 months, and that's it. And after that 3 months, I need a program to get referrals from them. Yeah. So you got to own your business and learn from that data and not ignore it and only think about acquisition. Because, I mean, that's short-sighted.
Of course, 100%. So now I'm going to touch obviously on leadership. So having been, or myself, having been to your offices and seen the expansion and growth of your business is obviously very impressive. So how would you say your leadership style is different and unique in leading your team as well as the growth while expanding your business?
Well, thank you again for saying it's impressive. I have never worked for anybody other than a school principal. Yes. And like a lot of it, I go with my gut. I also am like an information collector. I read as much as I can. I try and learn from as many people as I can. I try and have positive resources around me, positive people around me. But yes. I think it's just that, like, not knowing what I don't, like, I don't know what I don't know. So I just do what feels right and treat people the way I want to be treated. I have a young child. I have a 2-year-old, and I was like, I don't want to work for a company that doesn't give me flexibility. So I'm going to have my team have flexibility. So they work from home 2 days a week. And, it's this intersection between who I am as a mother and a former teacher and a wife and a business owner, where I think my leadership style is successful. I don't know. I'm sure there's other amazing leaders who believe in the same things I believe in. But essentially, it's like, be radically candid. Say when you don't know something. Raise your hand when you don't know something. It's not shameful. Hire people who are smarter than you and tell them that they're smarter than you.
Yes, of course.
And don't let your ego get in the way. It's okay. It's actually good to fail. Yes. And it's good to, like, I was actually just saying this to one of my employees this morning. I had a bit of a down week. I wasn't feeling that great this week. But then last night I spent some time with some great people who I felt I could be vulnerable with, and I feel so much better today. And I know that the downs are part of it.
Of course.
And so I think just being that honest with people is a really great way to lead.
Yes. So what would you say are some of your biggest lessons and learnings through your career?
Big one would be, don't apologize for who you are.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean you should be a jerk and not apologize for it. But, I think I've spent a lot of time trying to make myself smaller. And I think that once you allow yourself the freedom to just be yourself, you will attract the people who get it. And you're going to turn people off too along the way. And that's totally fine. Like, I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And that is okay.
Yes. You have to be okay with the not okay to elevate yourself to the next level.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, truthfully. Like, learn from your financial spreadsheets. Don't only, manifest abundance. Also plan your financial spreadsheets. You need visualization strategies and meditation and amazing networks of people around you to support you and raise you up. But you also need to be very brutally honest with yourself about your numbers. It's the combination of hard and soft that is magical.
Absolutely. So on the flip side of that, what are some of your biggest career highlights been? Or has it been many moments, or like one specific thing that stands out?
I think when I reached 5 years of being in business, that was a really big year for me and for Schmooz. I turned 30. We celebrated 5 years of being in business. I celebrated 5 years of marriage. It just felt like, oh my God, like I reached this 5-year milestone and now I'm 30 and what am I going to do next? And how am I going to move this forward in a even more meaningful way now that I've survived? So going from like survive mode to thrive mode feels really, really good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So that leads me to the last two questions. What are your 3 key pieces of advice that you would give to other entrepreneurs? And what legacy would you like to leave?
Yeah, okay. These are big, important questions, and really, I want to be really thoughtful about them. 3 key pieces of advice. I guess the first one would be like sleep, get a lot of rest. If you're not well yourself, then you can't give clarity to the people you want to lead. That's 1. 2 would be, I'm like thinking about, I haven't planned this. I'm thinking about this as I go. Always leave room in the day to think. So schedule, if you can, schedule in 30 minutes, an hour to just like quietly reflect. I started doing that and then I lost that practice, and now I'm going to try doing it again. Whenever I do it, whenever I make that half hour quiet time for myself, I am such a better leader. Number 3 would be to fully do what you're doing in that moment. So when I'm with my daughter, I really try to be with my daughter. I'm not perfect. When I'm with my husband, I really try to be with my husband. Again, honey, I love you. I'm not perfect.
Yeah, you try to be present.
Trying to really be present in what I'm doing. So right now I'm talking to you, and then I will finish talking to you and I'll say, Karen, I can't focus on you anymore. I gotta go. I'll try and be honest about it, because I'd rather give someone my proper attention than not be able to. I don't want to be a bad person. So yeah, those are my 3. Were those 3? I think that was 3.
Yes. And then what legacy would you like to leave?
This is a huge one, and I have been working on this a lot lately. So this goes back to why I think my business is different too. My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor, and he came to Canada and started a business, and he had no education, next to no education. I have all these university degrees. He had nothing. And he and my grandmother created a business and employed people, employed refugees, and created opportunities. I believe that and then actually in turn, my parents started a business and created opportunities and had employees. And, I believe that the opportunities and education I've been given is a responsibility and a privilege, and I want to keep creating opportunities. That's like who I am at my core. Is if what I'm doing isn't creating opportunities for others, then I'm not doing I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, and you feel like you're not living your purpose.
So I think my purpose is to carry on what my family started, which was saying I have the tenacity and gumption and wherewithal to start this company and create opportunities for other people, and I'm going to do everything I can to achieve that. That's the reason I wake up every day, other than to see my adorable kid.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's a driving force for me.
Yes. So how can people connect with you on social media, just to give people a heads up before we...
Yeah. I'm most active on LinkedIn. So first name Zoe, Z-O-E, last name Share, S-H-A-R-E. Yeah, you can reach out to me there. Obviously, as a social marketing company, we're also on Instagram, and I have a personal Instagram and a business Instagram, a company LinkedIn, a personal LinkedIn. We're everywhere. Schmooz Media, Zoe Share.
Yes.
But I try and keep Facebook as personal as possible, a little less businessy. So
Yes.
LinkedIn and Instagram are better places to talk to me.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, Zoe, and hopefully we can have you back in the future and see how you've progressed.
Oh, I would love that. Let's bring it on. 10 years, here I come.
Thank you so much.